Hey, I'm Steph,
And I'm Meg.
and you're listening to the Slowly Stitched podcast where we talk all things conscious fashion.
We say this all the time, but we're so glad to be back, right? Bringing you a brand new season with new gems, new fits, new guests, and new topics. This season is dedicated to fashion and function.
And today you're tuned into episode 11, Threaded from the Earth, where we're really going to go back to the basics. We'll be covering natural fibres versus synthetic fibres, how they function, what they look like in your wardrobe, and how to be a bit more of a conscious buyer.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Are you ready? I hope you're ready. So without further ado,
Yes.
Steph, gosh, this is probably one of my favourite looks
Oh,
from
thank you.
you.
Try.
What is your fashion feeling today?
Well, when we were planning the episode, we were talking about how it's like going back to school. So I really wanted to channel my head teacher energy, So I've got this tie that's from my dad. So big up you, Dad. Thrifted, hey. This shirt, which is actually yours. So thank you for lending me the shirt. This denim dress, which you can't really see.
It's gorgeous though.
And of course the star of the show, which is my new Stephanie Jade London jacket, which by the time this episode is aired, I think would have launched.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it would have. So
we just need to zoom
Yeah.
in a little bit. Show us
I'll
little
do a
bit
little
of that
zoom in the
red.
edit.
Yeah, no, it's
The-
gorgeous.
Gosh, I just keep moving stuff, guys. I'm so excited. But yeah, the red is bold. I love the red,
Yeah,
man.
it's gorgeous.
Red's going to be the colour of the season as well. So I thought, of course, got to make a red jacket. But yeah, I'm loving it. And then I've got these brown heels on from Naked Fashion.
Nice.
Thank you. What about you, Meg? I love that we're literally...
We're matching.
I don't even know what you're wearing today.
No.
So the fact that we're matching, we're just in sync, girl.
No, my fashion feeling today is just comfort. If I'm being very honest, guys, comfort. And comfort with a little bit of a twist. So I've got this oversized white shirt from my mum. And then I'm wearing
it.
this gorgeous like balloon. Are they called balloon?
Yeah, balloon skirt.
Yeah, balloon
Yeah.
skirt dress. Me and Steph were trying to figure out, is it black, charcoal, or just a dark denim? It's like a really
Can't
interesting colour, but I love it, guys. Like, it is so nice. Then to add like a pop of colour, I would have wore boots, but I need to like really test myself out of my comfort zone, which is like show them damn legs, you know?
Yes.
So I've got these red socks on and they're so cute. They say love club. So to all the lover girls and lover guys out there, we love you. And then I'm wearing these flame. This is the star of the show. Like,
the
we need
shoes
to
are
zoom
fire.
in. Yes, my feet look tiny. Size 3, size 4 if anyone wants to send me some shoes. But they are flames. They are gorgeous. These are T-Shocks and they're Nikes and they are so nice. They've got like darker kind of orange all the way to the yellow, so they're easy to kind of like add. You can wear it with all a monotone outfit. They go so well with denim and they look fire with black. So yeah, my fashion feeling today is comfort with a little bit of a twist.
I love it. Yeah, sorry, I'm just observing.
Observing. Gorgeous.
Myths and truths.
Absolutely.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. You start or should I start?
You start.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Our first one is cotton is always sustainable. Myth or truth?
Definitely a myth. I think that the way that like conventional cotton is actually produced is one of the firstest crops out there. It requires so much water, a lot of pesticides. So actually, is it really that sustainable? Probably not. But, if you do options like organic cotton or like Egyptian cotton, they tend to be a little bit better. So it's a bit of both. It just depends. Next one. Natural fibres are inherently sustainable.
This is a little bit of a myth, and obviously a lot of these will kind of unfold a little bit more in the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
But naturally, natural fibres like cotton, like you mentioned, wool and silk obviously come from renewable sources. They're from the earth. They are resource kind of friendly.
Yeah.
But their production based on how we live today is unsustainable. They are really resource intensive. Like, if it was maybe like 100 years ago, where the demand for clothing wasn't as big as it is now with the rise of like consumerism, then yes, we would say it is really sustainable because they're renewable, they're easy to kind of recycle, and they do last a very, very long time. As we've mentioned, like they do have a long lifeline. However, cotton, for example, requires a huge amount of water and pesticides to make sure that it's not perishable and that it stays the way that it is even when you wash it, right? While as wool production can contribute to greenhouse kind of gas emissions because of, again, in order to manipulate it, which we'll talk about in terms of function, for certain fits or certain genres or even certain weathers, like you can use wool in summer clothing, but you can also use it in autumn, winter. In order to do that, it requires so much energy to manipulate that particular fabric. So natural fibers should be inherently sustainable. However, our demand and how we operate as human beings now compared to how we used to is what's making it unsustainable and contributing to global warming, sadly.
So sad.
So sad. This is not going to be a really down episode, but it will speak about some home truths because it's really important. Like when you leave your house, we want you to understand that we all have a carbon footprint, and equally we need to be thinking sustainably in terms of how we can contribute to greenness and contribute into our own green footprint as well. Anyways, I can talk about that forever. Synthetic fibers are always bad. Myth or truth?
I feel like mostly it's the truth because, again, the way that they're produced, it's very fossil fuel based. Sorry, I can't speak today. Petroleum. So that part is bad. It does shed microplastics into our water systems, both in that production stage, but also when we wash our clothes as well. Yeah. So it is quite bad, but I guess a lot of brands nowadays are kind of going towards like recycled polyester. So they actually are recycling what's already been kind of produced and put into the world. So I guess that is better than producing more if we are finding ways to recycle those synthetic fibers. So bit of both, but I guess mostly a truth.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the last one for you, Meg, is: are faux and or vegan alternatives automatically more sustainable?
I love this one because we talk about it all the time. There's a difference between sustainable and ethical, right? Yeah. And we've like unpacked kind of what do these words mean and how can we see examples of this today. Like, while using faux or vegan options are inherently more ethical because they are avoiding kind of killing animals unnecessarily for our consumerism, the environmental impact they do have is terrible and needs to be spoken about, because it is that idea that I know we've got a guest coming on this season called Megan. She'll unpack it, which is greenwashing is hurting us all because it gives us that impression that we're doing really well when we're actually not. Right. So the alternative options, so the faux and vegan, the environmental impact that they have on animal agriculture as well. Like many vegan leather alternatives are made from plastic-based materials that can be incredibly harmful to the environment. So while it might not be directly harming an animal in the production, when you wash them, the amount of microplastics that are released into your washing machines, into your sinks, that go into canals that have obviously ecosystems that live there, but equally that flush out into the sea or into the ocean, like it's never really spoken about enough. Equally, when you are recycling materials or need to re-dye them, again, microplastics are released. Microplastics go into our food again, into us, and it's not spoken about enough, but the long-term impacts, health impacts that microplastics will have on us and our future generations is why we need to be more conscious about alternatives, and the fact that just because it seems ethical doesn't mean that it's sustainable or actually good for you or the planet. Right. So those are the bits that in terms of innovation need to be discussed way more, which is like, how can you have something that is ethical and sustainable and is also good for humans and animals without releasing the tons of microplastic that already gets released into the earth today. So yeah, we'll unpack this a little bit, but I think it's for everyone to be like, oh, okay, these words mean different things, and because they mean different things, we need different solutions to be able to actually fix these problems or alleviate these problems. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, 100%. And you can't fix one without fixing the other, so they are very much interlinked with each other. So, should we get into the main topic of this episode?
I'm hungry.
We're hungry for
I'm
it.
hungry.
So, when we were thinking about how we wanted to plan this episode and what we wanted the main takeaway to be, we didn't want it to be like, oh, we're judging you because you don't know. It's more so like, let's just give you an idea of how fabrics work, how they're produced, what they look like in your wardrobe.
Absolutely.
And yeah, when it comes to developing your personal style, actually knowing about materials is super important because it will help inform your buying decisions. And you're like, okay, I like structure, so these materials give that structure, etc., etc. So yes, before our clothes reach the racks, they all start from somewhere, whether it's on a farm, whether it's in a lab, or as you kind of said in the beginning, like in the fibres of the earth, things that are naturally grown. And it really is no secret in the fashion industry, as you've kind of just explained, that it is one of the biggest pollutants in the world today. But why? Right? So we're going to be tracing the journey from raw material to the garments that we wear, as well as unpicking what the future of materials could and should look like.
Absolutely.
So again, as much as this conversation is about the planet and sustainability, it is also to do with our personal style, which is why Slowly Stitch exists.
Yeah. I think that's probably the thing that I was excited about the most when we were thinking about this season. Sorry to interject, but we were having that conversation, and obviously for those that don't know, Steph is a creator. She has her own brand.
I do.
We also call her an alternative stylist, which I love.
Yep.
And as a designer, there are things that you will know about materials that the average person won't.
Yeah.
So we met someone once when we were coming to the studio, and him and his mum are in the fashion kind of industry, and it was so interesting to hear the conversation that you both had, which was around certain materials can't be used to create certain looks because they don't function or bend that way in the same way that you wouldn't use necessarily glass to create a bed because actually the function of the bed, one day you sit down a bit too heavy, the bed's gonna shatter, right? So that was really interesting to me. So I know you're gonna unpick that bit, but I think for everyone listening at home in this bit, thinking about your own wardrobes, what function do most of your clothes serve? Is it that you want comfort, or is it that you need structure and you need things that are long lasting and long wearing? Are you someone that prefers baggier fits, and because of that, what materials do you need to look out for? And I just love that. So I'm in session as well. Over to you, Professor
to me.
Steph.
Okay, so we thought we would kind of cover the main materials that people will come across in their wardrobes or when they're out shopping. So the first one is cotton. We all know what cotton is. Where is cotton found in our wardrobes? It's really and truly everyday staples. So things like t-shirts, denim, shirts, dresses, all of that good stuff. Why is cotton used for these particular pieces? Because it's really breathable, it's soft, it's versatile, and I guess one of the main selling points for cotton is that it holds dye very well. So we'll be speaking to Lola about it in a future episode in season 2, but that's all around upcycling your clothes. And if you do have cotton pieces, that is a great way of changing the look because it holds dye super well. In terms of like cost and sourcing, it's really affordable, but the cost does vary depending on the type of cotton. So kind of what we touched on in the myths and the truths, if it's regular cotton, it is going to be a bit cheaper, but it is very we use a lot of water to kind of harvest the crop and pesticides, but it is going to be a lot cheaper compared to like organic cotton, Pima cotton, or Egyptian cotton. So yeah, in terms of like your wardrobe angle, if you live in cotton t-shirts or denim, check the labels. Organic cotton means lower impact, but it's also really great for relaxed fits, basics, and layering pieces. So like what you said, figure out what do you like. If you're someone that does prefer looser fits or more casual fits, like definitely cotton is going to be.
I have tons of cotton.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah.
The previous seasons, if anyone knows me and denim, we go together really good. So yeah, I wear tons of cotton. I've got lots.
100%. And even when we look at denim, you know, there are, especially like Japanese denim, right, tends to be at a higher price point, but that's because of the way that they've sourced the cotton, and the type of cotton
organic.
they use is organic. It is very premium, so naturally it's going to come with a higher price tag. So I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, it's so expensive, it's just cotton. No, actually, even within cotton, there is a hierarchy in terms of quality.
Yeah.
So the more you pay, the more high quality and long lasting it's going to be.
And it doesn't fade.
That's the main thing as well. I think denim definitely is something you should invest in, because it can fade very quickly. I'm sure we've all had like black jeans. We wash it
Joni
twice.
jeans used to.
Oh.
We never spoke about it. As much as we used to be like, yeah, she was that girl. She's always been that girl. They would fade.
Like crazy.
Like by the end of it, before it got to the bit where there was no denim left, and it was like that patch of grey, and you knew you were 1 second away from a hole, like a tear in it. It would fade after one wash. It wouldn't hold dye very well, but that makes a lot of sense because of potentially how it was manufactured, high street brand, all of those things. But again, imagine if it used better cotton, it would hold that dye way more. Yeah. And Joni jeans, I'd still be wearing them now.
100%.
Because they're so good.
They're so good. But again, if you're someone that loves denim and like streetwear, invest in it. If you know it's something you're going to wear on a week-to-week basis, there's no point spending £40 on a pair of jeans. Granted, I'm not saying that if you spend £40 on a pair of jeans, they're not going to last. But if you invest and maybe spend 100 plus, they will kind of last the test of time, rather than you having to replace it every 3 months. Yeah. So that's the main thing about cotton.
I love that. Thanks, Steph.
We've got wool next. So you tend to find wool in sweaters, in coats, and in suits. Why? They're naturally insulating, they're breathable because again it is a natural fiber, they're odor resistant as well, which is really good. And I guess their main thing is that they hold structure really well, which is why you can see like a banging wool tailored jacket or blazer and you're like, yeah, it's making sense. In terms of cost and sourcing, this is going to be higher than cotton due to animal care and also the land use as well, because those animals got to graze somewhere.
Yeah.
But regenerative grazing practices are making wool a bit more sustainable, but there is a kind of a big ethical concern around kind of the sheep's welfare.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of both. Like, it's good because it's natural, but the ethical concerns, like how are you actually treating those animals to get the wool?
Absolutely.
So again, perfect for tailored coats or knits that last years and years and years.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to buying wool, like just look for certain certifications. So there's kind of the main one, which is the Responsible Wool Standard, and that's how you kind of know it's come from a source that looks after the sheepies and makes sure that they're okay.
Literally.
So that's wool. Do you have anything wool in your wardrobe?
Oh, I've got so much knitwear.
Yeah.
I literally live in knitwear. This is the only reason. At the moment that the sun sets earlier, I'm defrosting all of my winter wear. Like, I live in slouchy kind of co-wards and layering and wool pieces, definitely for my own well-being and how comfy I want to feel when I leave is such a staple piece for me. And equally, there's so many things that have been handed down from my mom or aunties that are such good quality.
Yeah.
And they've had for years and years, even before I was born, that I wear now because they're so good. Equally, my mum loves to knit, so there's not one thing that isn't like sentimental as well. So I love it. What about you?
I have a few pieces, but not actually as much as I would like.
Really?
Yeah. When I think about it, I feel like because I like not weirdness, but like. Not weirdness, but I like things that have a bit of interest on them.
I don't know what I thought you were going to say, but it wasn't weird. So I was like, oh, no, that's not what I thought you were going to say, but I hear it.
Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes when you look on the high street, a lot of the wool jumpers look the same.
Boring, that's what you want to say.
They're quite boring.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I haven't found the brand for me that kind of offers that showstopper piece. Because I guess what I love about like autumn is my favorite season for fashion, because like you can still wear like a jacket and not be like hot or whatever, But I think, especially when you're like layering, I really want something that's like, oh, that's cool. And I've not found that piece yet.
Pattern or colour?
Both.
Okay.
I don't think I necessarily have issues with seeing wool jumpers that aren't colourful. It's more so the shape.
I'm with you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely like want to own more wool stuff because, to your point, it lasts a long time, especially if you wash it correctly. Low degrees, guys, not anything above 40. That it will shrink. But I just need to find that brand that offers me that, you know?
Yeah.
If anyone's got any recommendations, please leave it in the comments because I'm on a hunt for a good brand that does quality knits. I don't mind spending money on it, but just trying to find it is quite difficult. Next, we have linen and hemp. We mainly see linen, to be honest, in the summer. Dresses, trousers, blazers, all of that good stuff. Linen's actually a really good material because it doesn't use that much water compared to cotton and wool. It's highly breathable, it's strong and durable, and it's naturally biodegradable as well. So when we're thinking about kind of that whole fashion ecosystem, actually, if you do dispose of it correctly, it can either be reused or it will naturally just disintegrate back into the earth that it came from.
So why do people not use linen more?
I don't know. It's a good question that I actually don't know. I think maybe because it does wrinkle quite easily, that could be quite off-putting to people. Because again, if we're thinking about your lifestyle,
Leave the house done.
That's why I personally don't own that much linen. Like, I think I've got one pair of linen trousers and that's it. Because I hate ironing with a passion.
Yeah, me too.
I hate ironing.
Me too. I've never, ever got into that stuff. No,
Same.
thank you.
That is the worst chore for me. So I think that also puts me off buying linen a little bit because I know that issue's going to need ironing. Yeah. So again, thinking about my lifestyle, I'm very much a grab and go type of person. I'm not trying to spend 20 minutes in the morning ironing. I think that's why I don't really own that much linen. But it is a good material. In terms of cost, it's kind of mid-range. You'll always find it is a bit more expensive than cotton, but it does last longer. And with hemp, that's often blended with other fibres. And both are super eco-friendly, which is amazing. That. So kind of what I said in the beginning, it's really great for like spring, summer wardrobes. It's quite a relaxed fit. It doesn't hold like shape that well. So it's always going to be a bit more relaxed. But it also is quite quote unquote timeless, even though we hate that word over here. But it's quite effortless, right? When you wear it, it is pretty effortless. You don't have to put that much thought into it to look very well put together. So
it's really good for basics, right?
Yeah, really good for basics. So linen is a good choice in the summertime if you are someone that likes relaxed fits. But if you don't like ironing, don't get linen.
Yeah, you need or get the linen that looks good crinkled. Like there are some that look actually really nice, like crinkled, like a little bit
of a crinkle.
Otherwise, it's actually very, very long.
It is very, very long. But it's a great material nonetheless.
I'm gonna see how I can use it in the winter or autumn layering, because knowing that actually is way better for the planet. That's one of my incentives to be like, actually, could I have more, or could I thrift more, or figure out kind of how to integrate it into my wardrobe that it matches the morals that I have in my life, right? But equally, it's not insulated at all. No, the amount of, I'm like thinking about the amount of linen I have in my wardrobe. Yeah, it's thin.
It's so thin.
It's so skinny. I wish I was that thin. But in the winter, you can't do that. Not in this country. There's no way. So I would love to be more experimental this season with figuring out how I can, I guess, adapt using linen to carry me through different seasons, especially in the colder months as well.
No, 100%. And I guess the easiest piece, now that I'm thinking about it, is maybe like a linen blazer. I think that's one of the easiest pieces.
You can put something like cashmere or whatever underneath, a turtleneck. Yeah. And then that's adaptable.
Yeah. And then you can put a jacket on top as well. Or even like if you've got like linen dresses, you know, like you have those certain styles where you could put like a shirt underneath,
kind of
a long sleeve. Yeah, there are ways around it, but I guess it goes back to being intentional when you're buying things. Like, okay, I've bought this for summer, but is there a way, like to your point, can I adapt it to winter as well? as I know it's a better fabric to
I love
use.
that. The blazer thing is really good actually, because most people going to work.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, 100%.
So don't say you can't wear your linen. Steph just told you.
You definitely can. You definitely can. Silk is next. I love silk.
Me too.
I love silk. You tend to find silk with dresses, with blouses, with scarves, lingerie,
pajamas.
Like, silk is pretty much everywhere. Why is it used for these types of products? Well, it's luxurious. It has a nice sheen to it. Super lightweight.
Yeah.
It's strong, but also soft to the touch. And it drapes beautifully. Like, you can pleat it. Yeah, it's just... It's a gorgeous fabric. It's one of my favorite fabrics, but it is pretty expensive because it is a very labor intensive process. And traditional silk kills the silkworms, which is not great. So essentially they'll not spin a web, but they'll kind of spin like a cocoon that's silk. But in order to get that silk, you have to remove the worm, and it kills it. So it is pretty sad. But we are seeing a lot. Sorry. It's not funny.
No, it's just the fact that we were like, yeah, we love it, love everything about it, love this thing. And then it just, like you can see in a film where there's like nice, happy music, and then you just hear, like, and it's like bad news. Like, the oral compliment just switches. That's what I heard, because we were shaking our heads going, yeah, I love silk, love it. Then you said, yeah, it kills. Oh,
it does kill the silkworms, but we are seeing, I guess, more and more companies using something that's called peace silk.
Yeah.
So it actually allows the silkworms to emerge as moths and like continue their life. So this space is changing. It's getting a lot better. I can confidently say as well, my manufacturer with my shoes, they use peace silkworms. So they are able to survive and live their life.
Thank goodness.
As they should. Silk adds great elegance and great movement into your wardrobe. So again, if you're someone that's a bit, I don't know, I feel like if you like to go to nice places or even like networking events, like silk is a great addition to add to your wardrobe. And kind of, I think it was the episode we spoke around fashion is always political, and we was talking about the power suit in the 80s and how actually, yes, women had these very structured suits, but they'd add, feminine, quote unquote feminine elements to it, i.e. silk, to make it feel a bit more girly. So there are ways you can mix and match it in your wardrobe.
Absolutely. Because I was going to say, if you're someone that has like what's that word? What's the word? Where it's not masculine, it's not feminine, it's both.
Androgynous
style. Yes. That's it. You don't even want to know what word I was going to use.
I don't want to know.
Begins with a H, and I was like, what? No. Yeah, you don't want to know. But androgynous style, then playing with textures is what's going to help you be able to elevate your wardrobe even more. Like, I'm thinking for myself, silk brings out my feminine side. So in a dress, even in a blouse, like in a scarf or a coat, like you can use those bits to offset some of those more masculine structures that you have, because I think you were just kind of saying it does feel more girly. It feels really soft and really gentle. So in those days where you want to kind of live in that particular persona, reach for those different fabrics, because they'll help you tune into those sides of yourself that maybe you don't always reveal as much. Like today, if I wanted to be a little bit more feminine, actually wearing a silk shirt inside this dress would have helped me get there. And then heels would have actually really, really helped, which I would have loved. So you're absolutely right. It becomes more feminine.
100%. And the last fabric we're going to look at are synthetic fibres, because I'm sure we all have a lot of it, sadly, in our wardrobe. So we're talking like polyester, nylon, acrylic, those types of fabrics. We mainly see them in sportswear, outerwear, basics. Honestly, it's pretty much used for everything nowadays. Why? Because it's cheap, it's durable, it's stretchy, it's also quick drying as well. So when we're talking about fast fashion, of course these brands are going to use those types of materials because they can produce them super fast. And yeah, again, it's very inexpensive because it is petroleum based. There's a lot of environmental concerns about it. We touched on it, the microplastic shedding, but also landfill as well. That's a growing problem. but it is good for function, right? So gym wear, raincoats, if you're someone that likes structure like I do, you can't get that structure from cotton.
No.
It will have to be a blend, or it will have to be synthetic. But I just think, yeah, there just needs to be a greater consideration on how often we wear it.
Yeah.
And again, when you think about your personal style, actually, okay, great, you love structure and kind of weird patterns, but can you pair it with, you know, more of a relaxed fit or fibres that don't really work in that way? So it's hard because a lot of our clothes on the market are made from those fabrics, but just being aware of it, it's good in terms of your personal style.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Professor Steph.
You're
That was
welcome.
brilliant. And obviously, we won't be able to cover everything, but I think this was such a great start.
Yeah.
And you're probably asking yourselves, okay, like now I know about those fabrics, why is it so important? So I'm going to cover it super briefly, but why does this all matter? Like, why are we talking about this? Why do we have this podcast? Why do we keep coming back to these conversations? First of all, we constantly talk about fast fashion, right? And you just mentioned around synthetic fibres. So much of fast fashion actually relies on synthetic fibres, and it is produced on a rate that is unsustainable. It's not that these fabrics are bad, it's the rate. So that's the biggest thing. Fast fashion is that hidden toll. It is the idea around water, waste and carbon. So the fashion industry, as we mentioned, is one of the largest consumers of carbon emissions, but also water is the second. So just in terms of stats on the wall, really quickly, it uses 93 billion cubic meters of fresh water each year. That's 4% of all fresh water withdrawals.
Oh my
so instead of
gosh.
us using that to consume, to look after ourselves in terms of food, we're using that on clothes. It also generates 20% of global waste water from dyeing and fishing, and contributes to 10% of global carbon emissions. That is more than all international flights and shipping combined. So out of all the clothing ever made in the world, only 1% is recycled per year.
Wow.
That is nuts. Synthetic fibres, so microplastics and fossil fuels. Why is it important? So 60 to 70% of all clothing which is made now is from synthetic fibres. So like we said, polyester, nylon, which all use fossil fuels, right? And there's not really been much innovation of how to kind of regenerate that and combat that. That releases up to 700,000 microplastic fibres in waterways globally. And 35% obviously of microplastics end up in the ocean, which eventually leads back to us and what we eat and what we consume. And my third one, really quickly, we were talking about this episode and I was like, people sleep on Disney and Pixar and animated kind of films, but there's a film called Dr. Seuss's Lorax, and Steph, I'm going to put her on the spot, has never watched it, guys. Like, generally, how many of you have watched Dr. Seuss Lorax? The Lorax, it's the like orange little fuzzy animation, and it's amazing. Anyway, I digress, but Steph hasn't, and if you haven't, grow up.
I'm so sorry,
grow
but
up.
Like, I don't know anyone in my life that's watched that film, but continue.
No, grow up.
No, because you're moving like I live under a rock.
Yeah, you do, because grow up. What? Everyone knows about Dr. Seuss. Anyways, it's a fantastic, and in the Lorax by Dr. Seuss, it paints that vivid image, right? It all, at that point, it was just like a children's film, but it literally has so many similarities and parallels to what we see today. Unchecked, that demand for consumerism and the fact that we need things now and we need things instantly. In the film, yes, it was like these trees, and it was producing, like, let's say the wool kind of alternative. They're called needs. That was led to the complete deforestation of the ecosystem and collapse. It was that idea of like, we'll get to it one day, we'll keep planting one day, or for every 6 that get knocked down, we'll do 1. It's not actually proportionate to the rate of what we're using. And at the end, the Lorax famously declares, unless someone likes you, cares a whole awful a lot amount, nothing is going to get better. It's just not. So unless we all care enough, change won't happen. And that story was written in 1971 and is no longer just a story. It really does mirror our world now, where rampant material extractions for fashion is destroying habitats and biodiversities. And it is that stark image in that film where that last tree gets knocked down and it is dead forestation. It's dark, and it got to the point so much funny, and it's not funny because it shouldn't be funny, but the idea that there can be billionaires that now need to sell us clean air. We're getting there,
We are
guys.
getting
We
there, and I'm
really are
really
getting
scared
there.
about that.
So it's this idea of, if we get rid of every single natural product and natural resource and those natural fibres, because at the rate of which we are using them, at some point our whole ecosystem will change, and the things that we see today won't be actually evident when our kids are grown up. So I know it's scary, but think about your involvement and how even those indirect decisions you make can actually affect the world. And if more people care, actually we can come together and kind of create those solutions. Maybe they're not perfect, but solutions that can make things much, much better. So it's not all bad, guys. Practical tips.
Yes.
We've got all of this information. How do we now move forward?
I think the first one, when you're going out shopping or when you're going online shopping, just check the fabric composition. Going back to what we said in the beginning, like figuring out what your personal style is. Do you like structure? Do you like looser fits? I think having that kind of basic understanding on what you like and what you're most comfortable in, it means that when you are buying new items, you can look at that composition and think, okay, I'll like that, or I might not like it. And I think, just try and buy more natural fibers and like implement it into your wardrobe. So that's probably the first one I would say.
I love that.
Yeah.
My second one would be find out which fabrics are the most durable for long-term wear. And yes, they might be at higher price points, but there's so much thrifting and reselling that you can invest in. So we mentioned cotton is brilliant, especially more organic cotton. There's things like wool that we mentioned, and as well linen. You can get them on Vinted, Depop or eBay, or they tend to actually be in your charity shops way more.
Love that. The third one I would say is mindset over matter. So yes, you might be buying things that are more sustainable or more ethical, but actually, unless you change your mindset about your relationship with your clothes and how you buy and how often you buy, it doesn't really matter, right? Because if you're buying things every week, it doesn't matter if it's sustainable or not. So just strengthen that relationship with your clothes and see it as your story and how you visually tell your story every single day. So then over time you'll feel like, actually, I don't need to buy that much because my wardrobe is my personal shop.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's brilliant. And I think the final one is be aware that there's so much noise, like block out that green noise. In the same way that we say that there can be disruption and there's so much information around, there's also good information. Just because something says it is ethical or it's faux or vegan doesn't necessarily mean that it's sustainable. In the same way, just because it might say cotton, it might not be 100% cotton. So just don't feel afraid to challenge where your understanding is right now. And equally, don't be afraid to get things wrong. Like you're not going to be perfect. None of us are going to be perfect, but we can do one thing to make ourselves better every day. So be aware.
Amazing. Well, that was an incredible episode, Meg. Hopefully you all understand how fabrics work a little bit more, which will help you when you're in this process of defining your personal style. So now it's over to you. What's the most surprising thing that you've learned today about fabric origins, and how will it change how you shop?
I love that.
Yes.
And as always, if you loved today's episode, there will be more further reading and links in the bio below. If you loved this, don't forget to like, comment and share with a friend so we can reach new audiences.
And always remember that the best fashion statement you can make is by staying true to yourself.
And without further ado, we'll see you next time. Bye.